thank you, Harry, for taking the time to do the testimonial today. I very much appreciate it. So in this call, we'll just basically talk about how you've been finding Talent Ticker, both yourself and the company that you're currently working in, and also how obviously your other recruiters are using it. So it would be great if you could just kind of introduce yourself and give us a quick overview of how you do use Talent Ticker and what parts of Talent Ticker you use.
Absolutely. So my name is Harry, job title Managing Director for North America at Hamlyn Williams. So Hamlyn Williams are a global recruitment company. We have offices our US offices are Dallas, New York, and San Diego. We then have European offices in London, Cardiff, and Amsterdam. Then we have offices in Asia in Shenzhen and Hong Kong. And we cover multiple disciplines. So we do financial services, fintech, technology, and life sciences, and then multiple products within those lines. So permanent recruitment, executive search, temporary recruitment, and project-based recruitment. In the US, we have around 90 employees now. So yeah, my role is overseeing the US. I'm based in San Diego now, and previously was based in New York.
Great stuff. So obviously that's a lot that you guys cover and that you do. And you guys have access to kind of the 360 part of Talent Ticker. Do you find that there's a particular focus in different areas that you're working in? So like your life sciences focus more on the BD, or they focus more on sourcing, or does it does it vary quite a lot?
It does vary. So obviously it's dependent on the market that we're in, right? So if I look at, let's take life sciences, for example, right? That's a market where we're less mature. So for us, it's been useful on both the candidate and client side, to be honest, particularly actually on the client side when it comes to like funding rounds. It's really helped us kind of build out that business and bring in some really exciting new clients. On the flip side, if I look at a market like financial services, where we're very well established, we've been in that market for a long, long time. It's really a blend, but again, I'd probably say on the FS side, like again, from a client perspective, because our candidate pools are really, really well built out in that particular market. So again, the wins that we've had on the FS side have been mainly via the business development side of the tool. And then technology, that's where the candidate side of it's been really, really useful for us, because the markets we work on within tech, let's take cybersecurity, do a lot of cybersecurity, extremely candidate led. And accessing those candidates has been really, really beneficial for us using the tool, particularly because it obviously gives us the contact information, right? And that's half the battle with cyber professionals, right? It's really hard to get their contact details. So I'd say it depends on the part of the business we're in. The other element is, like, if we're building out new areas, which obviously we have done this year, again, that will dictate like which part of the tool we're using the most, right? So in new markets that we're really building out, where we're looking to acquire new clients and penetrate new clients, again, probably the business development side of the tool, particularly the movers part of it, but also the funding rounds again. Yeah,
absolutely.
So it's a blend.
Yeah, which I think is, I'm quite new to the whole recruitment industry in general. I'm working with Talent Ticker, but I've never done recruitment in the past. But since joining, I immediately understood how quickly recruitment changes. Like COVID obviously having a massive impact, and that's obviously why Talent Ticker developed the sourcing side of the tool, because BD was just not needed. So it's now great seeing that the sourcing side is absolutely flying, but a lot of our clients are also finding that you still need to do BD, because come maybe 2 or 3 months, recession hits, things like this kind of occur, you're kind of back to square one, aren't you? So I think it's great that you're using, tech, finance, and life sciences are core areas, which is a reason why you guys are a great fit, but also using it in different ways and utilizing that data is great. So that's really good to hear. A question I had is, do you find, just this is purely out of interest, do you find that the outreach that you do for each different sector is quite different, or is it still quite the same, like sending a LinkedIn message, doing a follow-up call, sending an email, or does that differ as well? And how do you use Talent Ticker to make sure you're tracking that and you're kind of focused on the right areas?
Yeah, it's different per area, right? So again, I'll go back to cyber. If you're sending emails to cybersecurity professionals, particularly if it has an attachment in it, they're just not going to open it, right? So it's about, like, again, getting the contact information and getting these individuals on the phone, right, is really kind of where we found some success there. So I'd say it differs from market to market. Life sciences, like, again, the email based outreach for them, like, tends to help more, right? Because typically these individuals are in labs, they're very, very busy. Getting them on the phone, like, off the cuff is impossible, right? I think regardless of market, though, like, being a candidate short market, obviously sequencing candidates and being on top of them and like being in front of them consistently is very important, right? And so that's where the tool, which is pretty new on Talent Ticker, where you can actually build sequences for your candidate pools and your business development as well. But we found that particularly useful on the candidate side, because it gives us an opportunity whilst we're doing other things for it to kind of automate in the background, which will then feed leads up to us when we get a positive feedback on that. It just saves us so much time.
I always think that recruiters never have enough time of the day. So I was really excited when the team announced that sequencing was kind of ready to be kind of tested and a kind of beta release. But it is fantastic. I think just not having to worry about the follow-ups. I always find that recruiters absolutely, they find the perfect candidate, but then a million other things happen and that follow-up gets lost. And then I think there's a statistic like 8 to 9 reach outs it's now to get either a positive or negative response. Like, the world is just so busy. So I'm glad that you guys have also been using that well, which is really good to hear. In terms of, would you say that's probably the biggest impact you've had with Talent Ticker so far? Obviously, it's fairly new, but do you say that's the most significant takeaway you get, or is it still the funding rounds and the news side of things?
If I look at tangible impact on the business, right, in terms of fees that we've generated via the tool, it would have to be the funding rounds element of the BD side, right? Like, I mean, we've won so much business off that. It's just crazy. So for me, that would be the biggest impact. I mean, it seems quite simple, but it's the fact that it's, it's predictive, right? That kind of gives you a bit of a front foot on the competitors, to be able to get out in front of these companies before maybe your competitors are even aware that this is happening. So for me, that would be the area where if I just look at fees that have generated for new clients, that would be the part of the tool that's had the biggest impact on our business. Yeah,
and to be honest, that is our bread and butter. That's where we started kind of 3-4 years ago. So it makes perfect sense. And I think I love hearing about those wins as well, because it is sometimes just quite smooth. You find a lead that fits your relevance funding, you congratulate someone about it, and then you follow up a couple of times, and that's that relationship built. When they're ready to hire, you're the first in line. So very satisfying, I'd say, the funding rounds part of Talent Ticker, I like to think of. My next question was going to be, have you found any wins from the service? But you've kind of already covered that. Is there any more details you'd want to share? Obviously, this is going to lots of different recruiters, so you obviously haven't got to share too much. But any more details on that?
I think, look, for us, it's a case of ROI, right? Like, if I look at it against other tools, I think what I like about it is that it kind of brings in the full ecosystem, right? So, we've obviously got other tools, right? We've got LinkedIn Recruiter, Zoom Info, like job boards, we've got our database, but Talent Ticker is probably better in the sense of it, like, it pulls everything together into one place. And then obviously it's pulling it through into our database, right? So, people always laugh, like, in our business in the US, like, I'm not a big fan of LinkedIn, right? I'm really not, because it's actually not very efficient, right? So you go on there and you can, like, get all of this data, but actually, like, the data all stays in LinkedIn unless you're manually kind of pulling it across onto your database. So I think for me, like, that's where I want in our business to be building our sort of candidate pools and distribution lists within our database, right? Because that's ours. And for me, Talent Ticker's allowed us to do that better than the other tools that we have.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, at the moment we integrate with Bullhorn and Vincherry, and exactly what you said. I know that the customers who also use those as their CRMs, they definitely find a massive kind of exactly what you said. I don't want to copy what you've said, but pull that data out, and that's the value. And sometimes they might not even realize that that client they then reach out to, or candidate they reach out to 3 months down the line, they've actually got from Talent Ticker, which I think is incredible as well. So it doesn't just mean you see a name once and then, you get immediate win. It's like, what's that like kind of 6 months, 9 months down the line, that's still, that ROI is still actually from Talent Ticker. Which is great to see. I think that's a lot of the things that I wanted to cover. My last question would be, would you be likely to refer Talent Ticker to any other recruitment services? Or yeah.
I mean, we want to keep it all to ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I have referred it to other recruitment companies. So absolutely, it's a big market. There's plenty to go around, right?
Yeah.
So it's a great tool. And yeah, if anyone asks me about it, I'd definitely recommend the investment.
Thank you so much for your time. This has been great.
Thanks, Amarbir.
Speak soon. Cheers, Harry.
Cheers. Bye.